Hello and welcome to Education Live. Education Live is our webinar series that we will be presenting 2 times a month, every month, with great topics. And today I will be your instructor. Hello, my name is Jamie Madison. I am a senior content specialist on the education team. I have been at ActiveCampaign since November of 2016. So I've been teaching ActiveCampaign to our customers and at study halls and at all sorts of things for about the last 5 years. So pretty excited to be here today. And you'll note in the chat, we have Shiv, who is one of my excellent colleagues and the other presenter for Education Live. So please, if you have any questions, hit up Shiv in the chat. And I'm excited to talk about segmentation today. So today we are going to talk about 5 different email segmentation strategies that you can use. But if you heard my Instagram Live the other day, we definitely have a bit more than 5. So buckle up, plenty of different strategies for today. But before we get into those strategies, let's start with the basics. What is email segmentation? So email segmentation is essentially what we mean when we're asking you to divide your list and talk to the right people with the right message at the right time. You're dividing your email list based on different groups, based on different kinds of criteria, what they're interested in, who they are. Email segmentation is the act of finding those Venn diagrams of the perfect person at the perfect time, sending that perfect message. And why would we want to do segmentation? Well, segmentation, quite honestly, just increases engagement across all channels because you are speaking directly to your contact's interests. So they're just twice as likely, 203% more likely to open an email that speaks to something that they've shown an interest in versus just a generic email that you're sending to a large group of people. Meeting customers at their point of need is crucial. That's why we're always preaching about segmentation. Is we want you to talk to the right person at the right time with the right message, and that is what segmentation is all about. In ActiveCampaign, there's a few ways that we work with segmentation. So segmentation is made up of lists, tags, and custom fields in ActiveCampaign. Essentially, lists are the broadest way you group people. Lists, you'd want to say, I have like a primary list, or I have a customers and a prospects list, but they're those big, huge, broad groups of people. Tags are badges for your contacts, badges that are added and removed mostly via automation. So that's how you can quickly denote status, interests, etc. Custom fields are those explicit pieces of information you ask your customers for. Custom fields are the kinds of questions that you include in forms, and they will give you more specific information like their birthday or their dog's name, something like that. Something about them that does not change is going to be a custom field. So lists, tags, and fields are how we get segmentation done in ActiveCampaign. So I'll speak to what type of segmentation strategy you would be using here as I go through the different types of segmentation. The first strategy for today is who. So who we're talking about when we want to think about segmentation is demographics and their geography. So their demographics are the pretty simple, the pretty straightforward. What's their age? What's their gender? What position do they have in the company? What's their job title? What's their income level? Demographics are those pieces that you know about your audience that you can likely gain from asking them questions in forms or by having them select certain pages on your website based on their interests. Geography is really based on pretty simple, where are they located in regards and in reference to where you are located. So geography is really helpful with segmentation when you're thinking about what time am I sending my messages? Are there certain kinds of regional events happening or promotions that I can focus on? Do I have a live webinar that's going to be focused on a certain time zone? Maybe you want to have a few webinars that focus on different time zones. We do that at ActiveCampaign all the time. You also want to look at geography when you're thinking about personalizing directions. If you can give people the directions from their door to your store, you're doing the right thing. You're giving them a piece of information that they can easily act on and come purchase something with you. So when you're thinking about segmentation strategy, you might want to start with, what do you know about your audience? Just those basic demographics. Who are you looking for? Are you looking for a certain age range? Are you looking for a certain gender? Are you looking for all those? And then where do they live? The second strategy is all about what. So what they are interested in. Now, these two things may seem pretty similar, but they're actually executed in very different ways. So the first up is survey and quiz results. So a survey or a quiz, a lot of people are anxious about asking for more than just an email address nowadays. But people truly are getting more and more comfortable with sharing their information online and with completing a quiz or answering some questions if they know that that means you are going to tailor your marketing to their interests. So send them a quiz or a survey, and you can offer an incentive like entering them in a drawing or giving them a coupon or a percentage off if they finish your survey. You want to take the moment to think about, what are the most important questions that I can be asking. So then what you're going to do for survey and quiz results is you are going to build custom fields in ActiveCampaign that ask the questions that you want to ask. So custom fields live in forms in ActiveCampaign, and you ask those questions proactively. So survey and quiz results is the proactive, custom field-based way to build your segmentation. Personal interests, on the other hand, is related, but is much more passive than survey and quiz results. Personal interests, what we would like for you to do is make sure that you have things like site tracking set up on your ActiveCampaign, on the website where you use ActiveCampaign. So you will say, okay, I'm giving these people plenty of opportunities to click on my emails, to click on links in my emails, to go to certain pages on my site. And based on the site's pages that they see, you are able to understand what they might be interested in. So you can, for example, trigger an automation that says, if someone visits a particular page that indicates a certain interest in your product lines, that you are going to add a tag to that customer that lets us know. Another thing you might be interested in, the pricing page. A lot of people will build automations that say, once someone visits my pricing page once or more, I know that they're personally very close to purchasing. They're looking at that pricing. They're comparing me to other things. Now is the time. So you would want to apply a tag to anyone who visits your pricing page so that you're able to follow up with them because they are the closest to buying. So when you're thinking about personal interests and how you can start understanding what your customers are looking for, you can ask them explicit questions via surveys, and you can tag their interests as they surf your different communications. And you have both ways, both the explicit ask and the implied interests working together to build more segmentation. So thinking about, again, what interests does your contact have that may influence their purchasing positions, and what are they looking for? What can they learn from these different patterns? What can we learn about our customers from the patterns that they are showing us? The next strategy is all about where. And by where, I mean where they are in your communications. They can visit you via your email and via your website. Those are the two most straightforward segmentation strategies. So that's what we're going to cover today. So the first up for email engagement, you're really thinking about open rate and click-through rate. And I know that those are very popular and those are very well-known ways to segment out your contacts, but you really want to think about the level of intent that each of those actions shows. And open is great, and that might be worth something. They're opening your emails, and that's better than not, or they're not reporting you as spam. That's great. But in order to really see that they're engaged, you need to give them a call to action that they can click through in that email to show that they are truly interested in what you are offering. So you might build a segment where you want to say, I want to find the people who are kind of engaged, but maybe I'm not hitting the right tone with them. So I'm going to build a segment of everyone who's opened an email but has not clicked on a link. I want to find that group of people and maybe send them a different kind of offer. I'm going to segment my group so I can see who are my kind of engaged but not quite, and what other things can I send them, what other promotions can I maybe hit them with that will reinvigorate their interests, will get them to open a second email and actually click through and maybe make a purchase that second time. So thinking about what do people want to hear from me when I'm writing my emails and building my calls to action, who do I want clicking on that link? And that's who you are segmenting down to. The other one, website engagement. So you're thinking a lot about where people are on your site. Where does your traffic go? So you can create entire automations, like I mentioned earlier, where it's looking to see after someone comes from an email and they go to your website, they click on a link in an email and they go to your website. What other pages do they visit after that? Maybe do they visit a page multiple times? Maybe they're interested in a certain product and they circle back to that page, and you want to give them an additional tag to say that they're very interested versus just kind of interested. You could say, I'm going to build an entire marketing campaign, and there's going to be emails with calls to action and landing pages on my website that all speak to the same thing. And now I'm able to send out that email with that clear call to action with that landing page on the other side of it and see what percentage of intent everyone has. The people who just open the email is one group. The people who open the email and click, that's a different segment. And the people who open the email, click, and then follow through to your website and do something on that page, that is your highest level of intent group. They are the biggest, that segment is the closest to purchasing, to converting, to doing whatever it is you're hoping that they will do. So thinking about what people are doing on in their emails, in their inboxes, and on your website is really powerful. And just one side note, I always like to say, when it comes to marketing, it's great that people are opening your emails and clicking on the links, but really you want to get them out of their inbox and onto your website, because your website is where you control the most information. So if you're able to encourage them and inspire them to leave their email and go to your website, you are on the right track. So keep working those CTAs and figuring out the kinds of encouragement you want to give to get people actually on your website. The next up is all about when they've made their purchases. So another way to start segmenting your audience is thinking about when they've purchased and how much they've spent. So purchase timing, there's a lot that goes into this. So I'm going to split and talk about B2B and B2C for a moment. So B2B is all those business to business kinds of companies. For a business to business company, your purchase timing is going to be more based on things like your sales cycle and how long does it take for a general sale to happen? How many touch points does your sales team need to have to close that deal? Is there a consulting relationship that you need to time out? Timing when you're dealing with a business can really take a lot of different formats. So purchase timing for a business, you'd generally be looking in your CRM. You would hopefully have a something built out in the ActiveCampaign CRM, our customer relationship manager tool, where you're able to see based on the different stages, generally what their timing will be. That is your goal, is to build a system that gives you the idea of how long it will take for them to buy based on what your CRM is telling you. And you also need to think about how frequently can customers buy. Is this a quarterly purchase? Is this something that expires? Is this something that needs refills? There are so many different kinds of purchase timing that may be implied by someone making that first purchase. So looking at the spending behaviors of your current customers is really going to help you segment down and target those customers with the right kinds of additional upsells or offers like that. When we're talking about amount spent, you want to look and see what have they spent in the past and compare that to what other people have generally spent. What does your general customer spend look like? And how can you encourage those who maybe start with a smaller purchase to go ahead and purchase that next item or to upgrade their current product? Thinking about what they were willing to spend in the past and showing how you are giving value to them over time is how you can keep increasing that amount spent. Additionally, you might be able to segment with amount spent by thinking about, I'm going to find the group of people who have spent the least, who have spent kind of that middle amount, and those who are my most premium customers who have spent the most. You might not be asking all of them to spend more. The ones who have spent the most, you're already very happy with them. Perhaps in that case, all you're offering them is a special membership or a special promotion for your most dedicated customers, versus the people who are in the middle, where maybe you kind of introduce the fact that, hey, we have this special members ability where if you spend a certain amount, we're going to give you X% off, and you're this close to getting there. So you can use the amount that people spend to further segment down your list and make sure that you're reaching out to them about the right kinds of offers. Then the last strategy is our more complex strategy, and that is the why. And the why is all about their position in the sales cycle. So at ActiveCampaign, we talk a ton about the customer experience and automating that customer experience and building it into this life cycle of a customer. You want to think about the many, many things that they're thinking about in their life cycle, what benefits they're looking for, what they're going to be using their purchase for, what's the occasion that they're using their purchase for, what kind of engagement do they have with you. You want to build that life cycle. And there's two different primary strategies. If you're talking about a business-to-business company, you want to build out a sales cycle that you can see the stages of your sales cycle in your CRM. So in your in the customer relationship manager of your choice, you would say, let's see, who are my to contact people? Who am I talking to right now? Who's gone dark? Who's really close to purchasing? And then maybe who are my most recent purchasers and the people that I want to hit with the please send us a review type information. So thinking about your sales cycle in the CRM, you will think about all of the different kinds of marketing materials you send to them at those different stages. So segment by your CRM, and you're going to be able to start sending more targeted messaging based on where they are. The other way to think about sales cycle, if you are a B2C, a business to consumer, directly an e-commerce company, anything like that, anyone who is selling products to consumers, instead of using something like the CRM, you can use something like ActiveCampaign lead scoring. And what lead scoring is an entire system where you're able to say, based on someone opening an email or clicking on a link or visiting my website, give this person X number of points. And the more points someone has, the more interested your lead may be. So if you're able to use ActiveCampaign to build a lead scoring system, then you're able to also contact people based on where they are in your sales cycle. So you'd say those like colder leads are just getting maybe the introductory information. We're just still teaching them about what our benefits are, versus people who have purchased recently, who you're going to hit with the please send us a review. We would love to hear from you. Would you like to make an additional purchase in this way that is related, etc. So thinking about where these people are in your sales cycle will help you decide how you can manage communications and segment down into each piece of your sales cycle so that you can really get the biggest impact. So now I'm going to show you a bit of our ActiveCampaign platform. So first up, I would love to show you all of our lists, tags, and custom fields. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. We have entire courses that are all about lists, tags, and custom fields. And please join us at Accelerated Onboarding, and we will teach you all about them. But just as a quick overview, lists you will find here in the Lists tab of ActiveCampaign. And you'll notice we don't have a whole lot of lists here. That is because we are trying to stay true to our motto of fewer lists. So we have our lists that are just organized by the different kinds of customers we're reaching out to, or a different kind of communication type, etc. So here are our big, broad lists. And this is one place where you start building segments. Tags are actually located underneath the Contacts tab. So if you go up to the Contacts tab, you can go to Manage Tags. And this is where you are able to add additional tags. You can also add tags in automations, on contact profiles, really anywhere. You're always able to create tags because they're that very flexible, on-the-go style of segmentation. So you say in an automation, if someone opens my email, I'm going to give them a tag. If they click on a link, I'll give them a different tag. Tags are what you are doing in the back end of your ActiveCampaign account so that you can take the information that people are giving you and sort it out and add tags to those contacts so you can build more powerful segments. The last place, if you're looking for fields is actually also under lists, and you go to Manage Fields. And fields are custom fields, like I mentioned, where you create questions that you can put in forms. So you can create fields here in the Managed Fields section, but you can also create custom fields when you're building a form in ActiveCampaign. And just to briefly show, forms in ActiveCampaign are located under the Pages section of this of the platform. So when I'm in Pages, then I click through to Forms, and here is where I would create a form where I incorporate custom fields where I would like to create a quiz of some sort. So instead of just focusing on lists, tags, and custom fields today, I want to speak a little bit to the kinds of automations that you will be able to do after you start implementing these segmentation strategies. So first, we will go to Contacts so I can show you the segment builder. So we're in the Contacts section. We're going to click on Search Contacts and click on Advanced Search. And this section up here in the platform is the segment builder. So here you would say, I want to find anyone who is in a list, or I want to find anyone who has opened a particular email or who has clicked on a certain link. And you can keep adding conditions. So think again of a Venn diagram. I want to find anyone who's opened a campaign and who's clicked on a link, or who's clicked on a link and has visited a certain page on my website. Think about that circle of people that you want to really target in on when you're using the segment builder. So to show a few segment building pieces in action, I'm going to check out our automations. So I have several automations that I'm going to show today. The first one is this local tour segmentation. And actually, that one, let me pull this up. So this one is all about, I'm creating an automation that says I'm having a tour that's going to be hitting these different physical locations. So I'm going to segment my group by location. So you would create your start trigger. So this can be a form that people fill out, or perhaps an email that you send that goes to specific groups of people. But you configure that start trigger, and then you can sort people by saying, is this state in Texas? Or are we talking about down here? If they're not in Texas, then we're going to put them, are they in Illinois? Okay, if they're not in Illinois, are they in New York? These are the 3 locations that we're having this event. So we want to separate our group into these 3 sections. So that is a local tour segmentation automation. Next up, we have something that is based on interests. So this is an example for healthcare. So let's say you are sending out a form and people are letting you know if they're interested in heart care or they're looking for just a regular doctor, or they're looking for some kind of therapy, but you have a form that has all of your different options. Then you'll use an automation that's built like this to segment those people down. So you'd say they finish this form that you have all of their information on, and then you look and see, did their interest equal heart care? So we're asking them for their list of interests. And if their interest is heart care, then I'm going to subscribe them to the heart care list. And if their interest is looking for a doctor, then I'm going to subscribe them to my doctor's list. So in this way, you're able to say, I'm going to organize my entire communication strategy around their separate different interests. So you would say, I'm going to organize everything into these 3 groups, and then I will go ahead and reach out to them in different ways. Just so you know, you can go ahead and subscribe them to lists if you'd like to keep those different kinds of communications completely separate. But I would argue that having interests in a healthcare field, they may just want to be tags instead, because tags are something that their interests may change. They may decide that they're also interested in another thing in the future, and you want to give them the opportunity to have both of those interests instead of just be on one single list. Okay, our next automation is all about tagging based on custom fields. So here, when this is what I was talking about a moment ago, instead of subscribing people to a list when they tell you what they're interested in, you can add a tag. So you can say someone submits this form, and then they tell me that they're interested in a certain option. And here we just say option 1, but let's say we're going to say nutrition. And then once they have their interests equaling nutrition, then I'm going to say the tag here is actually nutrition. Oops. And this section here, your interests are, and then I pick fitness, and then I'll hit add, and then I will change this tag to say fitness. Save. So you can see once someone submits the form, the automation in the back end goes and says, what are they interested in? And let's add tags to that. And this is an example of an automation that helps you with your segmentation after someone submits a form. Let's go back to our automations and check out. This is one of my favorite automations that everyone should import. This is my favorite automation that everyone should import. It's called last engaged date. In order to use the last engaged date automation, and this looks very simple, but it's very powerful. In order to use this, you need to create a date and time-based custom field. And then when someone reads any email or clicks on any link, it will update that field, that custom field that you've created, to the current time. So then anytime someone opens any email or clicks on any link in any of your automations, it will update that field, and you'll be able to see each contact's most recent engagement. This is a really great way to see what's the last time that anyone did anything with me. Then you can segment out by who's talked to me in the last month or so versus who haven't I heard from in 6 months or more. But having that current time information is really, really powerful. So last engaged date is a great automation to import. And then the last one that I'm going to show, before I just show you how to import a recipe, is this deals first contact. So if you are someone who's using the CRM at ActiveCampaign, you are then able to say, when someone enters any pipeline in your ActiveCampaign account, you want to say, if we have their phone number, we're going to add a call. Or if we don't have their phone number, we're going to add an email task. So this section here of this automation is sort of like a small self-contained little moment where you can say, my salesperson needs to reach out to this person in X or Y way based on the information we have. So entering a pipeline, give them a call or send them an email. That's pretty straightforward. And now I'll quickly show you how to do an automation. So let's hit create an automation. And then we'll do start. We will look for searching recipes. So we'll say last engaged date. And this is the automation that I would highly suggest you all import today. Contact last engaged date. You just hit there, you hit the recipe and you hit continue. And then you just update this recipe with your custom field. So I know I went a minute over. I'm so excited about segments. I just had to keep going. But Shiv and I are here and happy to answer any additional questions for the next few minutes if you have any. I know I went through a lot of information really fast, but you will also be getting a recording of this in your email. So if you weren't able to keep up, or if you just want to review a different section, you'll get this video in the next day. Thank you all so much for coming to our education live on segmentation today. I really appreciate y'all spending some time with us, and I hope to see you soon in our next education live. It will be hosted by, I believe, my co-host Shiv, and I will be moderating. So we hope to see you there. Thank y'all.